And welcome back to Music Free Static. I hope you're having a fabulous day. Have you ever thought about what makes you special? Now, before you insist that you're not special, know that that's not true. Okay? Everyone has something about them that makes them unique. And so do you, right? And that uniqueness is special, right? And maybe you're a parent or a daughter or left-handed, or your hair is curly or straight, or you have a great sense of humor, or you love cats. Maybe you like to paint or fix cars or play video games on the internet for the amusement of others. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of things about you that make you special, that make you unique, that make you awesome, right? We all have a combination of things that makes us unique, that makes us special, that makes us us, that makes you, right? I mean, yes, we're all children of our Heavenly Father, but more than that, we have a combination of experiences, knowledge, thoughts, dreams that makes us, and actually, that makes you a wonderful, awesome, and amazing person. Right? And that combination of things, those differences that we all have, are what make all of us better, okay? Your experience growing up wherever it is you grew up, okay? Maybe it was a great experience. Maybe it wasn't, okay? But that is a difference. That is an experience that helps shape you, but then you can also use to help shape your community, right? I said, whether it's, I'm parents of 5 kids, right? That was an experience, let me tell you, right? Maybe someone else was a soldier or a nurse or a teacher or a farmer. All of these experiences, one, help shape our worldview, but also help us understand the world around us in different ways, right? And all of those differences allow us as a society to see more, okay? Right? Think of an old sailing ship, right? The big 3 masters or whatever that would sail back and forth across the ocean. We're that the glorious age of sail, right? And those ships, they put a dude up in the crow's nest because it gave them a different perspective. And it helped the captain and crew to see more than they could just from where they were on deck. Because, of course, the earth is round, and being able to, going up higher helps you see further. Okay. But that perspective helped the ship stay safe. Now, a person growing up on a farm is going to have a much different perspective than somebody who never left a city. And vice versa, right? When you grow up in a city, so I grew up in a city, right? I grew up in the suburbs outside of Denver, and it's like, if I wanted to go anywhere, it was a 20-minute drive at least, okay? Except for the grocery store. Everything was 20 minutes away. Good or bad, it was 20 minutes away. If I was going to the mall, or wanted to go to Target, or we wanted to go out to eat, or anything, it was a drive, okay? I now live in the middle of nowhere, okay? I live in a small city, and, population like 10,000 people, okay? Well, there is another town 20 minutes away, and we never go there, right? Perspective is just weird, right? There's a Dairy Queen in the next town over. We never go there to get ice cream. It's just, that perspective is totally different, right? And that's cool, right? All of that perspective is necessary, right? Because if you sit and look at all of your problems like everything is in the city, right? Oh, maybe everything is either 20 minutes away, or maybe you live in a walkable city where you can get food and entertainment and get to school or whatever on foot. All of that is a different perspective than somebody who lives in a small town, and yes, we do have a store, but if we want to get something else, maybe we have to drive to get to a big enough city that has what we need, right? Like, I don't have a store where I can shop for computer parts, for example. The closest thing I've got is Walmart. Okay. I can get a keyboard, I can get a mouse, and maybe I can get a monitor. But that is kind of it, right? Walmart sucks for that. If I just want to go browse and take a look and get my hands on what does this keyboard feel like, or because I want to feel what it's like to type on the whatever keys and stuff they've got. I can't do this here. On the other hand, if growing up in Denver, okay, yes, it was a half an hour away, but there was a tech store where I could go and I could, get hard drives, and we get CPUs, and we get memory, and whatever it is we needed to get, right? Totally different perspective. Okay. And you start looking at, it's like, okay, are you a scientist? Are you a painter? Right? Again, different perspectives on the world, potentially. I mean, nothing that says a scientist can't be a painter, right? But if those are your main vocations, you're going to look at the world a little bit differently. Okay? Architects look at buildings differently, I think, than a lot of other people, right? Also, you start looking at worldviews, like, are you a Christian? Are you atheist? Are you Hindu? Are you a Jew? Are you Muslim? Right? All of those different perspectives and attitudes and beliefs can come together and help make everything better, assuming we can actually talk to each other and accept each other for our differences. Even when you jump into politics, and I'm not going to get into politics, but here's the perspective here. You might be a far left progressive, you might be a far right conservative, you might be a liberal libertarian type, right? All of those perspectives are different, and they're all important. Now, obviously, I have my beliefs on how things should run, but having those discussions, having that understanding of where other people are coming from, helps us see further, right? If you want to look at it that way, right? And we don't have to agree, right? I will never agree with the principles of socialism and communism or fascism, right? Those are not things that I agree with. But seeing the perspective and seeing where they're coming from allows me to say, yeah, okay, here's why I trust that those are bad, okay? But having those discussions of, I understand why some people who are on the socialist side of things, what they're doing, what they want to do, more often than not, it's because they want to make their communities better, and they have a perspective on how to do that. Again, we may disagree on the practice, but understanding they may be seeing needs that I don't, right? And so all of us together can help. This is the sort of diversity that we need. The fact that we don't agree is awesome, because if we all agreed on everything, we would lose that diversity. We would lose the ability to see farther. And you in particular, you with your special, awesome, amazing, unique wonderfulness are a beautiful part of that sort of tapestry of life, okay? And maybe you haven't quite seen that yet, and maybe you have, and whatever your case, know that you are important to all of this, right? Your joy at anything from Minecraft to nuclear physics, right, may touch someone's life and make their day a little bit better, right? There are definitely times, like we've talked on stream about movies, and everybody's chiming in, oh, I love these, and this is wonderful, and we get talking about like old comics, like stand-up comics and stuff, and it's like, oh man, Abbott and Costello was great. Or you get into Bob Newhart, or or early Jeff Dunham, or whatever you want to look at. And we start talking about, oh yeah, this is great. And hey, here's a perspective on comedy that's not some of the newer stuff that's all hypersexualized and vulgar and all of this stuff, right? Admittedly, some of it's very funny. I mean, Robin Williams, for example, was hilarious. The dude was a comedic genius and could improv like nothing. On the other hand, the dude, epic potty mouth on this guy, okay? All right. Which is, fine. Not my cup of tea. But he touched the lives of so many through his comedy, through his acting, by being a kind and how is it put? I was hearing somebody talk about him yesterday, actually. Kind and caring, giving person, right? Those are all amazing traits. And no, we may or may not be as funny as Robin Williams. I know I definitely am not. But that's okay. Right? Our joy, I think, I love Minecraft, for example, right? That's the reason I have my Minecraft avatar on everything. Also branding, but it's because I love Minecraft. And when I play I play Minecraft, I stream Minecraft over on the Music Free Gaming channel, and I love sharing that with people. Okay? And does that help other people get through their day? Sometimes. I know one of the people who found my channel early, I think he was in the hospital. He'd been in the hospital a lot because of some whatever health issues he was having as a kid. And he found my streams, and my streams helped him through some of those hard times in the hospital. Okay, awesome. But maybe you have some experience with grief that may help somebody who's facing loss, right? I lost a daughter when she was infant. She was just 4 days old. And that gives me a perspective that can help other people. You may have any number of experiences like that where they have shaped you in a way that you are a light and a beacon of hope to somebody else, right? Maybe you're one of those people who, as the scripture puts it, you are willing to bear one another's burden that they may be light. Yea, are willing to mourn with those that mourn, yea, and comfort those that stand in need of comfort. Are you one of those people, right? Do you have an ability to make people laugh, or to cook, or to sing? Boy, do you have the ability to look at a sentence and realize, did I just say you have an ability to make somebody cook? Are you Captain Picard and telling someone to make it so because you need a new garment? Right? Doesn't matter. All of these things, everything about you, all of that stuff makes you special and amazing and wonderful. It gives you a perspective that can help your family, help your community see farther. And that's what makes you specifically and in particular a dispensable or an indispensable part of the world. You are not dispensable. You are an indispensable part of the world that we live in. You are special and amazing. All of that stuff that you bring with you. And maybe you're broken. Okay? Maybe you've got issues. Maybe you've had to overcome serious trials of abuse or serious loss or other things, and you're just struggling through. I'm with you. I understand that. I was there. Okay? I have children who are there. Okay? Who are dealing with depression and anxiety and all of this stuff, right? I get that. Heck, I deal with anxiety. It's just not at the same level as some of my kids or a lot of other people. But I understand where that comes from. I've been through the depression. I understand that. And that can help, right? I had to give a talk in church a while back. It was, and I talked about my experience with depression and the need for me to go to see a therapist and work through my grief and work through my depression and overcome those things. And I had people come up to me, and there were a lot more people that came up to my wife to tell her how grateful they were that I talked about that, because honestly, that experience was it was hard in therapy because it's a lot of work, but it was so rewarding and so freeing to overcome that level of grief and depression that I was dealing with, and being able to share that with others. And because so often, I don't know if it's specifically an American thing. I don't think it is. Okay. And it certainly tends to fall more on men. I hear this a lot, that, yeah, it's just emotions, get over it. Okay. Yeah, you're feeling bad, just tough it out, right? The British stiff upper lip and all of that stuff, right? Yeah, sometimes that doesn't work. But having the experience to sit down and say, you know what, this didn't work for me, I had to go see somebody, can really help somebody else who's going through a hard time realize that they don't have to do it alone. They can go out and talk to somebody, right? And you don't have to be famous. You don't have to be popular to make somebody's life better. You just have to be you. Okay? Sure, somebody like Taylor Swift might have a greater reach, but the person who might need you the most might be your neighbor, might be your sister or your brother or your child, right? And that doesn't require the star power of Taylor Swift, right? It just takes you and your specialness. You know, this is my special skill. I can't grammar, right? But all of those amazing things that go into you, and yes, some of those amazing things that went into you are not great, right? I said maybe it is abuse. Maybe it was a rough childhood in some way. Maybe you're dealing with poverty. Either you grew up in it or you're dealing with it now, right? You know, my wife grew up in a household that was very poor, and that brought a perspective into our relationship that I didn't. I grew up in a fairly middle class household. So we got married. When we were starting to live together, she had a different perspective on how to handle finances and all that different stuff that I just didn't have. And when we were first married, and those first few years, we were poor. And even when I was starting to make more money, we had 5 kids, and we needed to be able to stretch every dollar as far as it could. And her perspective on how to save and how to stretch that was of immense importance to our family. So yeah, all of those different things, those different ways you look at life, at society, at relationships, all of that comes together and helps all of us to be better. And you are so important to that. Okay? You really are. And, you know, we don't always hear that. Okay? And I know, I'm a guy on a podcast. You're listening to this. How do you know he's talking about me? I don't know who you are in any detail. Unless you're a member of my family listening to the podcast, I don't know you, right? Yeah, you may be a regular on my stream, and I know your handle, and we may have talked a lot on stream, but I still am not the type. I still don't know you, right? In that sense, right? But I still know that it doesn't matter who you are. There is a specialness about you that can make life better. And if we can understand and embrace that diversity of awesome that we have amongst all of us, we can be better. And we just have to stand up and share the great things about us and embrace the great things about others. And we can all be better. And until next time, be excellent to each other. And this is Music Free Static signing off.